up at about 3, Clay. That was the end of the 4th round, and he hit him about 2 seconds before the end of the round.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well and are okay. Today we look into the life and pay our respects to an absolute sporting legend and gentleman, Sir Henry Cooper. Someone who was loved not just for his boxing but for his charm and charisma and just being a generally really lovely, nice guy. So unfortunately today we do not visit his final resting place because he's been cremated, or he was cremated rather, but we do visit a couple of key locations that were connected to him. Most notably, we visit a place that was called the Fellowship Inn, and that's where he lived and trained when he prepared for his fight with Muhammad Ali, or Cassias Clay, for the first fight with him. We also visit his childhood home, his family home, the location of, or the former location of one of his gyms where he used to train, where there's a blue plaque, and another location where he had his fruit and veg shop in Wembley, and I think there's a blue plaque there as well. So guys, as always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and we're going to get a bit more info on Sir Henry Cooper. Henry Cooper was born May the 3rd, 1934, with his twin brother George in Lambeth, London, to Henry Sr. and Lily Cooper. The couple would have 3 children in total, including an older son. Like many families living in war-torn Britain during the Second World War, they would face many challenges, especially as Henry Sr. would be out of the country for 2 years with the British Army. So, when Henry and George were young, like most kids, especially back in those days, they would love playing outside. And on one occasion when they were out and about, they would find themselves getting into a mock boxing match. And as they danced around throwing playful punches at each other, they would unknowingly attract the attention of a neighbour, who for a moment would stand and watch, and then walk over to the boys and tell them that they both looked like they had potential and they should start training at a local club. So the 2 brothers would begin training at Bellingham Amateur Boxing Club. By the time Henry would leave school at 15, he would be at Eltham ABC, and by 17 he would win the Amateur Boxing Association light heavyweight title. In 1952 he would be selected to represent the UK at the Helsinki Olympics. Unfortunately, he would lose to a Russian opponent in the 2nd round. After completing his national service, he would sign pro forms and announce his arrival to the pro boxing world by winning his first 9 fights. Henry would continue to box regularly, winning British and Commonwealth titles. In 1958, he would fight top American contender Zora Fully at Wembley Arena, beating him on points. So a couple of years later, I think 1960, he would meet a lady named Albina Ginepri. The 2 would get on, start courting, or dating rather, and they would marry. They would set up home in Wembley and have 2 kids. They would live in the area for about 15 years. So the following year, after he would get married, a potential world title fight would emerge. Unfortunately, negotiations would stall and the fight would fail to get made. Henry would win his next 4 fights before being presented with an opportunity to fight in a world title eliminator against a young, brash, cocky, unbeaten American fighter by the name of Cassias Clay. So the fight would take place at Wembley Stadium on June the 18th, 1963, and the winner would get a title shot at either Sonny Liston or against Floyd Patterson. So on the evening of fight night, Henry would come out aggressive and strong, winning the first couple of rounds. Clay would sit behind his jab, working it to Henry's face, and he would open up a cut above the eye. In the 4th round, Henry would shock the world and have the whole of Wembley Stadium on its feet. He would throw a perfectly timed left hook, catching Clay clean, knocking him to the canvas. Frustratingly, he would get back to his feet just as the end of round bell would ring. So he would stagger back to his corner, where his trainer would allegedly use smelling salts on him to bring him back round. It's also been said that his team would exaggerate a slight tear in his glove, and that would buy them valuable extra recovery seconds while they would have to get the glove replaced. So by the beginning of the 5th round, Clay would recompose himself. So he had gained the extra few seconds of rest. So he came out and he was targeting the cut above Henry's eye. He would work it and it would start bleeding profusely. The ref would step in, stopping the fight, handing victory to Cassias Clay. Obviously, absolutely distraught. But although he had lost the fight, he would win the heart of the nation. And around this sort of time, he was in his 30s. And he had kids, had a family, and he was starting to think about life after boxing. He would meet a local businessman and open a fruit and veg store in the Wembley area. And believe it or not, whenever he wasn't in training camp, you would find him at his grocery store serving customers and happily chatting to fans. So Henry's last professional fight would be in March 1971 against Joe Bugner and would result in a controversial loss. His continued gentlemanly manner, combined with his charm and charisma, it did well for him. So it would make him a fan favourite. Opportunities in TV, radio, media would start to open up and present themselves. So in the mid-70s, he would move his family from Wembley to the Kent area for a quieter life. He would also find a passion for golf and over time become chairman of his local club. As the 80s and 90s rolled around, he would also become involved in various charities and begin raising money for loads of good causes. And this was around the time that he would be ever present on our screens in a good way. So he became a regular on the television show Question of Sport. He would also appear in adverts for the men's fragrance Burough. And in 2000, all of that was sort of acknowledged. He would receive a knighthood for his contributions to boxing as well as his ongoing charity work. Even in his later years, to be honest, he was still ever present on our screens. So he would be in adverts for the National Health Service, persuading pensioners to get the flu jab. So in 2008, as the years rolled on and he got older, he would sadly lose the love of his life, his wife, for almost 50 years. And Henry Cooper would sadly pass away 2 days before his 77th birthday on the 1st of May 2011, and leave a legacy behind that we still talk about today. So we are at the Fellowship Inn, which is where Henry Cooper trained and lived when he was preparing for his fight with Cassias Clay in '63. So potentially, I'm not sure what room he would have trained in, but definitely a good candidate. So I do know it was a function room where he trained. So it could have been in here. We're not 100%, but the guys that have been kind enough and nice enough to let me in here think that this is the room that Sir Henry Cooper trained in when he was preparing for the Cassias Clay fight. And it is now obviously a cinema which is used for like private hire events, which is pretty cool. So the first man to knock down Cassias Clay trained in here for that special boxing match in '63. So this is Henry's calf, isn't it?
This is Henry's calf.
After Henry the man himself, or?
Exactly.
Fantastic. Thank you, mate.
Anytime.
Nearly missed it. But that is the old boxing gym, or part of it, and the blue plaque for Sir Henry Cooper is here. London Borough of Southwark, Sir Henry Cooper, OBE, KSG, born 1934, British, European and Commonwealth heavyweight champion, trained in the gymnasium of the Thomas and Becket, voted by the people. Which, back in the day, this was the Thomas and Becket pub, and it had a gymnasium. So potentially, I don't know if it was, but this would have been the entrance to the upstairs of the club, or the pub, which is where the boxers would have gone in and out of to train. So the house that Henry Cooper moved into when he first got married is coming up on our left. And it is this one here. So that is where Sir Henry Cooper ran his fruit and veg shop from in the 60s. So Henry Cooper, 1934-2011 heavyweight boxer, British, European and Commonwealth champion, lived here. 1942-1960, London Borough of Lewisham. So the statue of Sir Henry Cooper should be just here. see that, guys. Sir Henry Cooper, OBE and KSG, 1934, 2011. British Empire and European heavyweight champion and world title contender. A true gentleman all of his life. The statue was designed and sculptured by the renowned sculptor Cole Payne as a tribute to Sir Henry and funded by his close friend Raoul Caulfield. Unveiled by John Pontiff, MBE, 10th of December 2022. And then just behind, Cole Payne, the sculptor, and Ray Quilliford, Secretary of London Ex-Boxers Association. We'd like to thank all the people listed below for their generosity in donating the funds for the statue erected to honour Sir Henry, not only for his achievements in boxing, but for his 45 years of supporting many charities. They would also like to thank the Phoenix Housing Trust and Lewisham Borough Council for their financial support in sitting the statue in Bellingham, where Sir Henry lived from the age 5 to 27. So, Sir Henry Cooper, an absolute gentleman of the sport and someone who was loved and respected by everyone really for the way he was. Frustratingly, never managed to get his hands on the world heavyweight title. Came so close, but unfortunately that's boxing. Maybe it was a bit of bad luck and lots of other factors. But the fact that he ran a grocery store and he was there quite a lot of the time, I think that's really fascinating. So imagine walking into a grocery shop today and seeing Tyson Fury there or Anthony Joshua. Would be great for business, but I don't think it would be something that would really happen in today's world, considering the money they earn and the circles they move in. But it would be just interesting to think about walking into a shop and saying to Fury, can I have a pound of apples or whatever it is, and having a chat, and then just walking off and he's standing there doing what he does. Let me know your thoughts, guys. As always, if you're a fan of boxing, if you watched him fight, if you know of any family members that you cross paths with, or even the man himself when he was around, even in the charity world and so on, let me know. As always, I do hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much, guys. See you soon.